In 1983, President Ronald Reagan proposed a defense shield nicknamed Star Wars. The Strategic Defense Initiative required intercepting ballistic missiles in space, a goal that forced a structural realignment of how wars were fought. The battlefield moved away from physical armor toward the intricate logic of software. Across the Atlantic, the UK was developing its own hardware to meet this new demand. This is the Stingray torpedo. It was an autonomous weapon designed to hunt deep-diving Soviet submarines, relying on specialized digital signal processing and complex guidance software to track its targets in real time. Computer programmers wrote the code for this new era in absolute secrecy. Inside rooms like this, the Ministry of Defense and companies like GEC-Marconi recruited specialized talent directly from academic institutions, isolating them with high-level security clearances to build the digital foundation of the West's defense grid. Military planners identified that the metric for strategic superiority had shifted. Strategic leverage now lay with the nation controlling the smartest coders, rather than the one with the largest stockpile of conventional munitions. Between 1982 and 1990, the people writing that code started dying. 25 British defense scientists lost their lives in sudden, bizarre circumstances. Though geographically scattered, they shared a specific link. Almost all were cleared defense contractors working for the Ministry of Defense or GEC-Marconi. Tony Collins, the executive editor at Computer Weekly, began tracking these cases. Looking at the volume of fatalities and the niche nature of the victims' work, Collins concluded that the cluster represented a statistical impossibility. The British government maintained that these deaths were the result of high-stress defense jobs. But the pattern raised a more disturbing possibility. Someone was systematically targeting the architects of the West's defense infrastructure. The official explanations struggled to account for the physical evidence. In August 1986, software engineer Vimal Dajibai fell from the Clifton Suspension Bridge in Bristol. He had been working on computer control systems for the Stingray torpedo and was reportedly in high spirits after accepting a new job. Dajibai's body was recovered with his trousers around his ankles. Even more baffling, the coroner found a needle-sized puncture wound on his buttock, a detail the official report could not explain. 2 months later, scientist Arshad Sharif allegedly tied a rope to a tree and his own neck before he accelerated his car. Investigators found a metal rod wedged next to the accelerator pedal. Elsewhere, engineers were found in positions that police reports described as physically impossible for a single individual to achieve alone. Despite these intricate forensic anomalies, authorities routinely closed the cases with open verdicts or rulings of sexual misadventure. Rulings of this nature served a specific function. They discouraged families from asking questions and prevented a unified investigation into the defense industry's security protocols. Collins' investigation centered on the technological bottleneck. In the 1980s, intricate defense software networks relied entirely on a single lead architect. Removing that one specialized programmer caused the entire project to stall for years, neutralizing expensive initiatives without attacking physical facilities. Many of the victims were on the verge of significant technical breakthroughs or were preparing to move into private consultancy, where they would possess valuable intellectual property. This theory presents two plausible motives. Soviet agencies may have used these methods to disrupt Western progress, or internal security services may have been clearing individuals suspected of being potential whistleblowers. If the bottleneck theory is correct, these programmers represent targeted efforts to disrupt the technical chain of the Cold War. Collins faced persistent stonewalling from the Ministry of Defense and the Home Office. The government consistently dismissed his data, attributing the cluster to the stress of secret research rather than a security breach. The legal status of the open verdict provided a useful shield. It allowed the state to acknowledge that the deaths were unexplained, without being forced to launch a public counterespionage investigation. Collins bypassed these institutional barriers in 1990 by publishing his findings in a book titled Open Verdict. By making his investigation public, he forced the technical vulnerabilities of the defense sector into the national conversation. The government successfully blocked a formal criminal inquiry, but the publication ended the absolute silence surrounding the Marconi deaths. The book triggered a significant response, leading to primetime television segments and parliamentary debates. Industry insiders began to offer quiet corroboration that Collins' data pointed to a real vulnerability. This 1980s architecture is the direct ancestor of modern defense initiatives. Current projects, like the Integrated Golden Dome missile defense system, rely on the same logic developed by the Marconi scientists decades ago. We may never definitively identify the killers, but Collins' investigation demonstrated that the official narrative could not account for the specific timing and methods of these deaths. No matter how advanced our satellites or autonomous systems become, the ultimate vulnerability in modern warfare remains the human element. The most powerful weapons ever built still depend on the brilliant, fragile human minds writing the code.